What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesar Sportsbook. I'm Katie Mox, and today is our 200th episode. Danny, you were my very first guest, and now you are I think you were my 100th, too. I think I've had you on for all of the big milestones on here, but show number 200, very excited. Thank you all for rocking with us for 200 episodes, and hopefully we have you for 200 more. Danny, today we're going to talk NBA and college hoops, right? I'm more of an NBA bettor, although I'm going to start getting into the March Madness. You like more college. Only 2 games on the college slate today, but we're going to get into everything today. Thank you again for joining us, Mr. Brasco, Mr. Monday, as we like to call him on this show. First of all, Danny, did you have a nice weekend?
I did, Katie. Great to be here for episode 200. If I'm here for all the milestones, I'll be here for episode 500. Let's go.
Yeah.
Katie. Great show. I love that we're still going strong. And yeah, it was a really fun weekend. UFC 299 was an absolutely epic card. It was great to cash. And even better than making money watching fights is watching some of your favorite fighters get it done in epic fashion. When everyone counted them out, Dustin Poirier had an amazing win. It just was a great weekend for diehard MMA fans as well as bettors. So awesome weekend. I had a lot of fun.
I feel like whatever this annual fight is, it always has a ton of NFL players because it's after the season. So I feel like I don't watch a ton of UFC. Obviously, you know that, but I feel like there's always like so many NFL players at whatever the tournament is or the fight night is around this time. Is that because they're not in season? And do you notice that? It's like all NFL players in the front row.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially UFC is getting super popular. There's even a lot of guys that played football in college that crossed over to MMA and used that sort of explosive ability to, say, tackle to become a wrestler and get you down to the ground and keep you there, right? So I think NFL fans are just really enjoying the sport of it. We heard Max Crosby on the Raiders talk about how boxing has really helped him with his hand game at the line and be able to bat people away, do swim moves, and get past an offensive lineman. So I think there's more than in martial arts and football, some crossover that people might not realize.
I like that. All right, so let's talk some Mox thoughts here. Some big things going on injury-wise in the NBA. Obviously, Steph Curry, my guy, hurt his ankle Thursday night against the Bulls, sat out on Saturday against the Spurs. Timeline, they think he's going to be out for a couple games, maybe at least a week. I mean, for me, am I worried about the Warriors? I've never been comfortable with the Warriors this season, guys. All right. So, I mean, it's like they started really bad. They kind of had that surge leading up into the All-Star break. We had some good games coming out of it. They got absolutely ruined by the Celtics. You could see how bad the Warriors hurt the Celtics in the finals a couple years ago because, man, they threw it all at them. Then this horrible loss to the Spurs. I believe they lost by 13. So, yes, I am worried about them. Without Steph Curry, but my thoughts on them aren't that. I mean, if they get into the playoffs, I know they're kind of flirting right now with the play-in spot. If they get into the playoffs, then I always think that they're a threat. But I'm not too high on them in general. What do you think?
Yeah, how can you be? I feel like they're destined to be in a play-in game, which has got to make you sweat as a fan of the Warriors, Katie. But also, a team that's been there, had their championship medal tested. I feel like they can get a play-in game done. So I feel like they will be put in that kind of spot, but they'll battle through that. I don't know if they're making any sort of deep run the way this team looks right now, especially if Curry's ankle is compromised and, has to stay healthy moving forward. But, if they do play a play-in game, I'll give them a chance to win that. I might bet them in that spot.
They're always a threat in the playoffs. They can win the playoff, play-in game. Maybe they can win the first round. Do I think they're going to win an NBA final this year? No, I do not. No, I do not. Would I be happy if they did? Oh, hell yeah. It doesn't seem like it's in the cards for them this year. All right, moving on to the Timberwolves. Another big injury there. We got Cat. He's out until the playoffs, actually. He's having surgery until the playoffs. I don't know why I keep saying after. When you look at this Timberwolves team, pretty good this season, but do you think that they can sustain this kind of success without Towns?
I don't know. It's rough because I'm worried about that injury too. It's not like a sprain. He tore his meniscus. And I know they're saying the timetable is a month. But, you look at the standings right now in the West. I think they can hang in there and keep their spot. Or the buffer zone between them and kind of the 6th seed is plenty of games. So they're going to be like 3, 4, maybe 5 worst case. So they're going to have a good seeding. But if Cat doesn't come back 100%, like he's been so good for them this year.
Yeah.
Just not the same team without him playing maybe his best ball of his career. So I worry about that injury. Torn meniscus, that's no joke.
Couldn't agree with you more. All right, let's talk about some CBB futures because the March Madness is about to commence. The conference tourneys kick off here, or tip off, if you will, this week on Thursday. Any leans for March Madness? Any teams that you kind of like? Any underdogs that you might be looking at?
Interesting. Katie, I got to be honest. I still want to see the conference tournaments play out before I give you like a team I'm backing to go the whole way. But, there are some sneaky darlings I kind of want to look at. I feel like UNC could be poised to make another run. I like the makeup of that team. That's not necessarily a darling, right? They're blue bloods, but RJ Davis is so good. I love the way he runs that team. So I kind of like them. We'll see Baycott, dominant down low. I can see them making that another run, but I'm going to look for some sneaky ones. I'll be back for more and give you a sharper take for a dark.
All right. Excited to hear those. And yeah, some of those big conference tourneys are tipping off this Thursday. So that will be really exciting. We are going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're giving picks for the NBA and the CBB slate tonight. Don't go anywhere. This is Moxie Bets. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words, Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the type of benefits only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app, it's an empire. Welcome back to Moxie Bets, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Here with my guy, Danny Brasco, Mr. Monday, sharing our favorites, picks, spreads, totals, props, you name it for the hoops action tonight. Let's look at some totals first. And, Danny, if you've got sides or props, this is fluid. We can talk however we want here. So I'm going to, start with a total here. And then you can go total and you can, go any way that you want with it. But I'm looking at this Pistons and I'm going under on their team total. It's at 110. You can find this price at minus 120 on Caesar Sportsbook. The under has been the trend for both of these teams here, both the Hornets and the Pistons. That's who they played tonight. It's hit in 6 of the last 7 for the Hornets, and it's hit in 7 of the last 10 for Detroit. They've scored 111 or fewer within that same span, 7 of their last 10. And while the Pistons went over their team total in both of this season's matchups against Charlotte, it just barely 113 and 111. You look at Charlotte and they're dealing with a bunch of injuries right now. So you kind of think Detroit's going to be able to put a lot of points up on them, and they've got such a bad record. But defensively, Danny, they've been pretty stout since the All-Star break. In the last 10 games, Charlotte has held opponents to 106 points per game, making them a top 5 defensive unit. Wow. You look at someone like Cade Cunningham, who was a star for Detroit, right? He went toe-to-toe with Luka in his last matchup. 33, 10, and 9 was his stat line. Still wasn't enough. Obviously, they ended up losing that game. And he scored over 30 points in his last 2 games. So to me, it seems like he dips back down to his mean. I mean, his average this season has been about 22 points per game. It just feels like everything's kind of adding up, or maybe they dip a little bit in their production. And again, Charlotte has been pretty good top 5 defensively since the break. So I'm going to go under on Detroit's team total of 110.
Interesting take there. Who knew Charlotte top 5D? If you're not locked in the NBA, that will pass you right by. I have no clue.
Gotcha. I got you. What are you looking at?
Katie, I'm going to the college slate. Give me some CBB here. And I'm going to the West Coast Conference Tournament. I like Santa Clara, double-digit dogs, plus 10 and a half.
I'm from basically Santa Clara. That's where the 49ers play, right outside of San Jose. Santa Clara County, stand up.
Oh, so we got good vibes going here. Yeah. They're playing a rival in St. Mary's. St. Mary's known for their defense, Katie. They're always very well coached year in, year out. But I feel like this is too many points. They were just minus 14 favorites very recently against Santa Clara, and it's a 5-point game. This team is getting more competitive against this club. And also, St. Mary's recently lost Joshua Jefferson, a forward that's just a really good all-around player for them. Good rebounder. He gives them about 12 points a night. He can pass. I feel like they're just a little less physical with him down there, and their defense loses that edge that they always have. I feel like Santa Clara keeps this game competitive. And for that reason, while we're flowing, talking totals too, I'll go with the over in that game. I feel like it's still at 135. It's at 134, 135, 135 for the last 3 matchups. kind of feels like a stale number. They played
Yeah.
an 82-77 game last game, and this number is still the same. Right? If I feel like Joshua Jefferson takes away from that St. Mary's defense, then I feel like points will be easier to come by in this game. So look for a score that's closer to their last game than the games of old. I think this team is ready to score on St. Mary's and go over the total.
So you're taking the dog, Santa Clara plus the 10.5. That's too many points for you. And then you also like this over 135.5. I love that. Again, Santa Clara County, stand up, great school there. If you're around in that area, go to the Hut. That's their little dive bar right by Santa Clara for some victory drinks when they both cover and the over hits in this game. I love it, Danny. I absolutely love it. When I look at another total that I'm going the same way as you are. I've got a total and a take on this. One, I'm going to go ahead and take the I'm betting against the Warriors tonight, which is kind of a bummer. I'm taking the Spurs plus the 4.5. No Curry. No Curry. Yeah, look, no Curry. You got Wemby back. He didn't play. First of all, the Spurs already upset the Warriors on Saturday night, right? Because they were able to beat them by, I think, like 13 points. It was a lot. And the Warriors are I don't know why the Warriors are favored in this game.
On the road.
It was a 6.5 spread. It's dipped down to 4.5. No Steph Curry. We talked about how he's out. Wemby is in. And look, the Warriors managed to score just 113 points on 100 possessions against what you would consider to be a bad Spurs defense because they didn't have Wembanyama. Wemby is already one of the most impactful defenders, right, in the NBA. And yet, Draymond Green is good at defending too. But did you know that Wemby is 10 inches taller than him? 10 inches taller than Draymond Green. So I just feel like the Warriors are going to have a hard time with their output. I like the under in this game because I think that defensively they are going to be able to shut the Warriors down a little bit. And then I don't see the Warriors covering this one. So give me the Spurs plus the 4.5 and give me that under in the game at 227.5.
It is interesting to see them lose a game and then go on the road now to play the second of the two series and be road favorites. It's ugly, right? Without Curry, maybe they band together without him and get it done. But you're not betting on that as a Warriors fan, and I can see why, right? I mean, it's a rough look. I actually have a pick on Draymond Green later in the show that I'm going to give. Actually, we're flowing, right? Should I just go NBA?
Yeah. Let me know what the guy that's 10 inches shorter than Wemby is going to do.
Well, yeah, I'll go back to college after this. But while we're on the Warriors subject, let me give you – I actually am going to go – and I haven't bet too much NBA, but when I do, I like to bet props. With Curry out, I'm going to go with Draymond Green over 13.5 rebounds plus assists. I'm definitely not banking on this guy to score. You never know if he's going to give you 6 points, 0 points, or maybe 20 in a random night. So I'm not going to bet on his scoring. But what I am going to bet on is him just try to be that facilitator, coming off 2 straight losses, right? You go on the road, maybe sometimes better. You got to get away from your home building and just try to, go on the road without that leader, Curry. You got to be the leader now, Draymond. So dish, play physical, grab those boards against as many as you can against Wemby, who will have the size advantage, as Katie points out. But I think he can do enough of the other things, of the little things, to at least keep this game maybe competitive and go over the rebounds and assist line.
And to your point, too, I mean, I know that he's had a lot of ups, well, a lot of downs, few ups this season, a lot of downs. I haven't been the biggest fan of Draymond Green this year. To lack of better words, I'm sick of it. But he has gotten better since his indefinite suspension. And I think he has realized that he needs to be a leader for this team. And I do think in the absence of Curry that he will rise to that occasion. I don't know if he'll rise 10 inches to that occasion. But I do think that he will. Take that how you will, people. All right. I'm talking about his actual height. I'm talking about his actual height. Okay. I'm talking about the fact that he is 10 inches shorter than Wembanyama. But we're going to go ahead and move right past this one. What I'm saying is I like that pick for Draymond. All right. You were going to go to college, though. So tell me what you were thinking college-wise. Back to the West Coast Conference we go. This is a classic matchup. You're all West Coast today.
That's right. This is the conference I'm more interested in. There's going to be a lot of, A10 conference and Sun Belt. I couldn't tell. Those schools are liable to do anything, right? West Coast, I have a better beat on. So this is a matchup you guys will be familiar with. Gonzaga taking on San Francisco. Again, rematch that just happened quite recently.
Did you pick all these things because you were going on the show with me today?
I feel like
you got a Warriors bet. You got a Santa Clara bet. Now you're in San Francisco.
That's right. That's right. It's good vibes. I got to bring the West Coast, Bay
Appreciate it.
Area vibes to Moxie Bets, right? That's how we're going to cash. So,
Yes.
you know what? I'm rolling San Francisco plus 8.5 again. I had them plus 4.5 against Gonzaga very recently when they played, and that was like the sharp side, right? I was like, why is Gonzaga just such short favorites? This is not the Gonzaga juggernaut of old. They get it done way more team ball than any one big star like Timmy or guys they've had in the past, right? So I bet against them, and Gonzaga smoked them, and Vegas got smoked too because everyone in the public was on Gonzaga. The same thing's going to happen here. Now San Francisco's plus 8.5. They're getting some more points. The books are giving more respect to Gonzaga. But San Francisco was winning that game at halftime, even though they ended up losing big. They can compete if they slow the game down. They cannot run and gun in transition with Gonzaga. They have a strong interior defense. If they play half-court ball, this is 8 plus 8.5. This could be a 5-4 point game. So I'm going to go plus 8.5. I'm going to bet on them to slow the game down and for it to go under 149 points as well.
Ooh, because you're taking the under. So some dogs and some totals out of you tonight. I like it. I'm going back to the NBA, and I'm going to look at this Nuggets game. Nuggets and Raptors. It's a huge spread. I believe it's like a 14.5 point spread. Is these are two teams going in different directions. All right. I understand why it's 14.5. It still feels like too many points for me. I mean, the Nuggets have won 2 straight games, 8 of their last 9. Toronto is without a ton of people. I mean, they are banged up. They got Scotty Barnes out. You got RJ Barrett, who is questionable. DJ Carton's questionable. Bruce Brown, all questionable. All questionable. They got 2 of their stars out as well. But this still feels like a monster spread to me. When I look at Denver in the first quarter, I like to bet like a first quarter or a first half. The first half was still 8.5, felt like a lot of points to me. First quarter, 4.5. I like this bet. Reason why: Denver, top 10 in points scored in the first quarter this season. They averaged 33 points in the first quarter over the last 3 games. So they've really been coming out strong in that first quarter over the last 3 games. The other side, Toronto, not so much. 23 points scored on average in their last 3 first quarters. We're looking at a 10-point deficit here. We only got to cover the 4.5. I like it. I like Denver to win this game. Maybe they cover by the 14.5, but we have seen them pulling Jokic in the fourth quarter a few times recently. So I'm going to go ahead and stick to the first credit. They come out hot, and then maybe they take their foot off the gas later in the game.
That makes a lot of sense to me. You always worry about those big spreads, about the backdoor cover at the end of the game, right? But if the Nuggets are doing their thing, they should be doing it early. I feel like they're always a team that does so well in the first quarter. Year in, year out, they have a great first quarter against the spread. So they like to put their foot on the gas early. I like that one. I'm going to have to tail that. I'm going to go one more in the NBA, Katie. I'll go back to a player prop. I'm going to go Kobe White, Chicago Bulls point guard, over 21.5 points.
I was looking at him. And I
our guy
bet on him too. Yeah.
Our guy Proppy over at Sportsline's betting on him too. And yeah, he's good. He's on a heater right now. So good to be on the same side as him. I like this one because since Zach LaVine's gone out, Kobe White has really taken the onus on himself to get some offense going. He's chucking it from 3, letting 3 ball fly. You see the last few games, 5 of 9, 7 of 11, 2 of 6, 3 of 9. Even when he's hitting at a 30%, 33% clip, he's shooting 6-9 threes, and he's just taking shots. He's playing a Dallas team tonight that is bottom 10 against defending point guards. And this team just plays at a really high pace. The total in this game is 235 points, so we can expect offense. I think since LaVine is out, it's got to go to Kobe White, right? The guard's got to score in this kind of matchup. So I like Kobe White over 21.5 points here.
Yeah, I like this too. I was looking at this. I was looking at Kobe White props because he's been playing very, very well recently. I decided to go in a different direction. I'm taking Darius Garland under 3.5 threes. And look, my guy's been shooting threes, right? So this might seem a little bit crazy. I mean, he has sunk at least 3 3-point shots in 8 of his last 10 games. But he's only hit the over this mark in half of those. So it's like, is he going to hit the 4? Is he going to hit right at the 3? And he's got that wrist injury. The report right now says that he's tending to a sore wrist, so maybe he's questionable play. Obviously, look out for this one. But it's not good when you have a sore wrist, and we're talking about 3-point shots and shooting in general, especially on the second leg of a back-to-back, especially against a team like the Suns. So I could see that if he does play tonight, getting 3 threes, not 4. And there's a reason why this is juiced to minus 121.
I like it. Let it fly, Darius.
All right, and then I'm going to look at Emmanuel Quickly. I'm taking unders tonight. I'm like you. Under 7.5 assists. You find this at plus money at plus 106. So he's been really great as of late. He's had at least 7 assists in 6 straight games. He's gone over this mark in half of those games. But his average on the season is below this mark just by 1 assist at 6.5. But when you look at his average versus the Nuggets, now I will say his average versus the Nuggets, 6 games over his career, all with the Knicks, not with his current team. But he's only averaged 2.5 assists versus the Nuggets, 5.3 fewer than his prop line in this game. So I think it kind of averages more towards his 1 average or his average in the Nuggets. I don't think he's having a large assist night tonight. So I'm taking him under 7.5. The time has come, Danny Brasco, for our 200th Mox Lock. What is the one Bay Area team that you are taking to the window?
We're going with San Francisco for the Yay area to get it done. Plus 8.5. Compete with Gonzaga. I'm feeling like the sports books aren't going to want to lose 2 in a row. They made the spread wide enough here. Let's lock it in. The 200th Mox Lock is in honor of Katie Mox. San Francisco plus 8.5.
I love that. I'm never going to bet against a San Francisco bet. So love that one from you. I'm going to take this Pistons team total under the 110.5, I believe it is. And just because, look, Charlotte's dealing with injuries, guys, but do not be fooled. Defensively, they have been stout. Like I said, after the All-Star break, the last 10 games, they've held opponents to 106.2 points, making them a top 5 defensive unit. Cade Cunningham has been a star, but he's going to regress back down towards the mean. So give me the under on the Pistons team total at 110.5. No, just 110. And that's at minus 120. All right, Danny, what else is going on?
Man, what else is going on? Well, Katie, for my fight fans out there, because I opened the show about talking fights, we're going to have a bunch of kind of I don't want to say dud, but lower level events until UFC 300 in April, which
now, hold on. What quantifies it as a lower level event?
These are like the big pay-per-view cards, like UFC 299, the numbered ones are always littered with talent and just the best stars of every division, championships on the line. The other ones that aren't pay-per-views are called UFC Fight Nights, and those are more up-and-coming talent, contender fights sometimes, but can be when the UFC is just trying to put up together a lot of fights. Sometimes you can see guys that are kind of lower level, and you're wondering, really, is this UFC material? So we're going to get some of those cards, but UFC 300 in April may be better somehow than this last one just was last week. So I'll be looking forward to that and counting the days down to UFC 300.
Now, but obviously there's still money to be made in these lower level fights. Do you find that the handicapping for some of these lower level ones, is there something that you look for? Are there ways to bet those for fighters that are a little bit lesser known, right? There maybe isn't enough tape on them. What are some things that you look at to handicap those fights?
Yeah, that's a great point. So a lot of the time on these UFC Fight Nights, there's an undefeated prospect coming in. He's fought a lot of different guys, like you said, that have limited tape and access to see, who's he fought in Estonia or wherever these, all sorts of international fighters are coming from. And you wonder, what kind of level of competition have they faced in Kazakhstan, right? And you have to determine how good you think they're going to be once tested at the UFC level. So it can be really interesting vetting guys that are coming in from international regional scenes coming into the UFC. And you have to sometimes just read into the matchup, right? Does the UFC want to give this guy a beatable opponent to win? Or is he maybe overhyped and has beaten nobody and he's going to get a veteran's lesson in his debut? Those are sort of the matchups I look for a lot of the time in UFC Fight Nights that you can exploit.
Well, you want to follow Danny at Danny Brasco to make sure that you are tuned in to all of his fighting analysis. You can also catch him on Sportsline and The Early Edge. Anything else you're working on, Danny?
Those are the things, Katie. And I'm sure I'll be back for episode 300 of Moxie Bets when it comes to fruition.
Yes, but you also do a lot of these like Instagram lives talking about the fight stuff.
That's right. On The Darce, I do an IG live show every Friday, and we break down every fight on every UFC card and try to give betting angles and advice. So that's live at noon every Friday on Instagram.
Yeah, make sure you follow him at Brasco Bets to keep it locked on all of that. And guys, make sure you look out for our March Madness Bracket Challenge. It was super fun last year. We're doing it again this year. If you win, then you get a spot on Moxie Bets to come on here and give us your takes. So Danny, Kenny, and I didn't do that great last year. Who came out on top from the three of us? I was winning early, and then I dropped way off.
Yeah, you had early round stuff going. I think perhaps Kenny did, but the winner of the bracket challenge came on and had a guest appearance on Moxie Bets. I mean, What could be cooler than that? Beat the three of us, and you're on the show. You got to love that.
You gotta love that. All right, Danny, thanks for joining us again. Brasco Bets. Follow him on X and also on Instagram. And follow us as well at Moxie Bets. This has been Moxie Bets presented by Caesar Sportsbook. We'll see you next time.